Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sharma, and I will be assisting Narda today with the presentation. Today, we will be talking about, or the topic of the webinar will be licensing best practices, and this will be given to you by Narda McCaster. Let's move on to the agenda for today. We will start with the introduction, then we will have the webinar presentation, and we will have questions, answers, and the closing. Now I'll pass the word over to Narda so she can begin. Narda?
Great, thank you. Okay, so welcome everyone to this webinar. We would like to present you with information about Microsoft licensing. We're going to start with the basics surrounding the licensing within Microsoft. And we're going to tell you, what to look out for, what to think about when you want to get into your licensing and understanding the Microsoft licensing better. So feel free to ask any questions during the webinar. I will try my best to answer when you send those questions as we go along. Okay. So the first thing is, what is a software license? A software license gives the right to install, to use, to access, to display, or to run a specific software program. So you may require a software license for each computer or device on which the software is installed. And the license will cover things like downgrade rights, and specifies if a license is perpetual, meaning if it's everlasting, or non-perpetual, meaning if it's temporary with a specific end date. For each Microsoft software program you use, you need a license. So it's not a matter of, okay, I can just download this Microsoft software and use it as I will or as I please. No, you need to have the correct license in order to use that software compliantly. Okay? So there are 3 ways in which you can purchase licenses. The first way is through OEM, or original equipment manufacturer. That is where the software is actually pre-installed on the PC or the laptop or the server. Okay, and these come through your OEM providers such as Dell or HP, who would pre-install the Windows 10 software or OS on the device. They may also pre-install Office, but it depends on the version of the Office, and other software on the machine. And that is what we call OEM software. So you would actually acquire a license from that purchase. Purchase licenses is through FPP, or what we call full packaged product. That is where you would actually buy this retail. So you go to a store and they sell the actual package in a box, the license and the software in a box, and you purchase that off the shelf. So that is one way where you acquire that license. And the other way is through volume licensing. This is where Microsoft products are licensed through an agreement. So you have a license agreement with Microsoft, and they provide you with the necessary licenses based on your purchases for the software to be used. In this webinar, what we will focus on will be the volume licensing, because the OEM and the FPP are very simple. Basically, it's already provided to you, whereas the volume licensing has some criteria and specifications that need to be understood. Okay, so with volume licensing, the advantages of going through a volume licensing program is that you can buy licenses in bulk or in volume. They are a number of programs that are available for you to purchase those licenses through. It offers a lot of flexibility with the licenses. For instance, if you were to purchase software through OEM, that license is only valid for that device that the software is installed on. So there's no flexibility there with the license itself. And there are discounts available, and that's dependent on the purchase level and program, which we will get into later into the webinar. So what is the purchase requirement for a volume license program? The minimum purchase requirement for, let's say you want to start an agreement, is 5 licenses, right? This is if you want to start small, you have a small enterprise, and you just want to start a volume license agreement with Microsoft, the minimum purchase is 5 licenses. Now, it can be a combination of a number of licenses, like in the first picture where you see there's 2 Office 2016, a project, a Windows Server, a SQL Server, or you can just start with 5 Office. And there you start your process of beginning your relationship with Microsoft through the volume license programs. There are 4 types of licenses that you can purchase. And what do I mean? There's the license itself, which is the right to use a specific version of the product. For example, Exchange Standard 2013. So if you purchase that license, you have the right to use that software and that version of that software. Another type of license that Microsoft offers is software assurance. Now, software assurance is only available through the volume license program and offers a lot of benefits to you, the customer. It allows annual payments through the different licensing programs, and the benefits include new version rights, training vouchers, home use rights, and a range of other benefits that come along with software assurance. So that is another type of license that you can purchase through volume licensing. The license and software assurance can be purchased together. So what happens is you have the right to use the software through the license, and then you add the software assurance on top of that, and that allows you to get the benefits of the software assurance with the license that you have purchased. So for example, you have Exchange Standard 2013 and you have software assurance. Microsoft now releases Exchange Standard 2018, for example. Because you have software assurance, you now have new version rights. That means that you can now upgrade your Exchange to the new version of 2018. So that is just one of the benefits of software assurance. With the software assurance and the licenses together as well, you're allowed to pay annually for the license and software assurance when you combine them. If you were just to purchase the license in Note 1, you have to pay that in full. There's no annual payments, there's no spread payments or anything like that. But if you combine the license together with the software assurance, you're able to make your payments annually. And the next license is an upgrade license for Windows. So as I explained earlier with the OEM software, when the Windows OS is installed, you can actually purchase an upgrade through the volume license program for that Windows computer. And that will allow you to upgrade to the latest version of Windows. So now I want to get into the volume licensing programs. As you can see, there are a range of programs suited to your organization, what you need, and it looks at whether you need a small number of licenses or you need a large number of licenses, whether you want to have a transactional arrangement or you want to have a committed arrangement with Microsoft. Okay, so for the first program, which is open, This is where you can purchase your licenses, whether if you want SA, which is software assurance, you can get this through Open. If you do not want SA, that is an option as well in Open. It also allows you to purchase either on-premise or online services through this program. Open value non-company wide, however, the SA is included. It's mandatory. So there's no option for you not to include SA in your purchase. So it's a choice you make whether you want to have SA or you don't want to have SA when you're purchasing your license. The cloud solution provider is strictly an online solution. So there are no on-premise versions in here, except the Windows OS, which is a subscription. That's the only thing. But all the other software is cloud software or online services available in the cloud solution provider. There's no minimum to start with these programs. So the smallest, let's say 5, which is the smallest, the minimum 5, you can start with either open or open value. And with CSP, there's no minimum. You can start with 1, 2, 3, and you can go up to as many as you wish. This is all transactional, meaning there's no commitment for you to purchase every year. There's no commitment for you to have a renewal. There's no commitment that you must make a purchase every single time. This is an as-needed way of acquiring licenses. Okay, so if we want to purchase a large number of licenses, let's say we want to purchase 250, 300 licenses, then the other option would be to go for either Select Plus, which is a program that only sells on-premise items. There are no online services within Select Plus, but you also have the option of either buying your SA or not buying your SA with Select Plus. So it gives you the option to buy a large number of licenses on-premise without SA. If you don't see that you need SA for those items, you don't need to purchase with SA. If you do, then the option is available for you to purchase the SA through Select Plus, but only for on-premise items. The MPSA, however, which is similar to the Select Plus, however, you're able to add online services with MPSA. So it again allows you to either add SA or not add SA, but it also includes that option of being able to purchase online services. Again, this is all transactional. There's no commitment to purchase every year or making annual reports to purchase more products. You purchase as you need with these types of agreements or programs. The committed, however, as I explained, is different, where you make a commitment to purchase a specific number of licenses. And with that commitment, you also have to review whether you need to make more purchases annually, whether you need to renew those services. That is why it's a committed agreement. So if you have, let's say, a smaller number of licenses, as it's seen in a committed, then you go with an open value company-wide. What does it mean when it says company-wide? It means that all your qualified devices must be included in the agreement. So for instance, if you have a company that has 20 computers or desktops, then you are committed to putting all 20 of those computers under that agreement. It must be included. So you can't say, well, I only want to license 5 of my computers with Office. No, you must license all 20 with the Office. That is the company-wide commitment that you're making when you do this. This open value company wide, it's on-premise and it also includes online services. So you can purchase both. However, the SE or the software assurance is mandatory. There's no choice. There's no option for you to not include the software assurance with this. Okay. Open value subscription is, well, as I said, a subscription-based program. You pay for a period of time for the use of the software and the licenses. Once the agreement is through, you no longer have the right to use that software. That is what the open value subscription does. So if you prefer not to actually purchase licenses, but you just want to use the software and the licenses for a specific period of time, then the subscription program is best to go with. Because, okay, maybe the organization is project based. So you have a project that is running for 3 to 5 years. With the open value subscription agreement, you can just have the use of those licenses and software for the period in which the project is going. And that means the period in which the company will be operational and would need those licenses or software. For larger number of licenses or larger organizations, there's the enterprise agreement and the enterprise subscription agreement. It's the same as with the open value, just for larger organizations or larger number of licenses that are required. For your enterprise agreement, the minimum that is required to start an enterprise agreement is 500 devices or 500 users, qualified devices or qualified users. Anything under that 500 quantity will need to go into either open value or one of the transactional programs. Okay, so it will go into one of the transactional programs if you need to go below 500. So earlier I was mentioning the perpetual license and non-perpetual license, where I was discussing the open value company-wide and the open value subscription. So a perpetual license is where the organization owns that license and can use it throughout the term of the volume license agreement and thereafter. So there's no time frame in which the license or software can be used. Once you have purchased a perpetual license, it's yours. You can use it until you decide you don't want to use it anymore or you wish to upgrade. So that license is yours for use until. A non-perpetual license is like a rental agreement, as it says, whereby you subscribe to use that license for a specific period of time. And when that period is over, or when that agreement has ended, you no longer have the right to use that software anymore. You no longer have those licenses to use that software. So it's really a determinant when you are choosing when to purchase or what to purchase, whether you need a perpetual license or you can do with a non-perpetual license. Okay, so in determining which program that you would desire, there are certain aspects in each of the programs where we call the 3 Ps, which are points, pools, and price levels. The points, pools, and price levels determine which price range you fall into within your volume license agreement. Now, this is not for all programs. These are for some programs. So for the MPSA and Select Plus, which are transactional programs for larger numbers of licenses, the organization will split the software needs into different pools, which I will explain in the next slide, and tally the points within each pool to find their price level. Okay, and with the enterprise agreement, the initial order of your enterprise products, what we call enterprise products, or your Office, your Windows OS, and Cal Suite, and that sets the price level for your 3-year agreement term or your 3-year enrollment. Enterprise agreements carry 3-year terms. That is the commitment that I was referring to in the previous slide. So when you do a committed agreement with Microsoft, it is for 3-year terms. Okay. So with the points and pools, the pools are the different categories you see here. So there's systems, there are applications, and there's servers. And each pool has points assigned to each product. So as you can see in the systems section, Windows 10 gives you 2 points. The applications, Office 2016, gives you 2 points, Visio gives you 1 point, etc. So when you purchase specific systems, applications, or servers, whatever software you're purchasing, the licenses you're purchasing, points are attached to those licenses. And once those points are tallied, it now determines which price level you will fall into. So for the MPSC and Select Plus, these are the price levels, A to D, A, B, C, D, and these are the pools that you need to accumulate in order to have the differing price levels or to move from one price level to the next. What does these price levels represent? These price levels tells us which price you will be granted. As you move from A to B, you get a discount on the prices. So the price actually becomes less as you move from price level to price level. And as you can see, the levels differ between the MPSA and the enterprise agreement. There are different points that need to be, well, the MPSA and Select Plus deal with points, as I explained previously, but the enterprise agreement takes into consideration your qualified desktops, the number of qualified desktops or users that you'll be adding to the enterprise agreement. So MPSA and Select Plus look at the points per product, but the enterprise agreement looks at the number of qualified desktops or users that you're actually adding to the agreement. So for instance, if you have a large organization with 5,000 qualified desktops or users, then you'll be able to get a price level B pricing for your agreement. And that will be determined when you start your enterprise agreement, because we would now see the number of desktops or users that you're actually bringing into the agreement, and that will determine the price level that would be used in order to start the agreement. So again, as you increase either your pools or your desktops, the price levels move from A to B to C to D, depending on the number that is added or the points that are added when you're purchasing. So I want to get in now to the licensing for perpetual or on-premise products. So the first product will be their client operating system, which is Windows 10 in this case. And Windows 10 is licensed by device. The license must be acquired for each device, which uses software, whether local or remote connection. Some customers are not aware that even if you are connecting remotely, you do need a license because it's accessing, and this is one of the legal rights of a license. You are accessing the Windows OS system. You're accessing remotely to use that Windows 10 OS. So a license is required. Now you can acquire the license through OEM, which was explained, and then the upgrade license is available through the volume license program. So Windows 10 is the latest version of the Microsoft Client Operating System, and there are several editions of this Windows 10. There's Windows 10 Pro or Windows 10 Enterprise. The client applications, which is the most common client applications, which would be Microsoft Office, which includes, of course, Word and Excel, PowerPoint, etc., is all included in one suite. And the different suites available through your volume licensing program is Office Professional Plus or Office Standard. So you can purchase those suites through the volume license program. It's licensed by device. For the Perpetual or on-premise products, it's licensed by device. Okay, sorry, I thought someone had a question. Yes, it's licensed by device. And the license must be acquired for each device which uses the software, whether locally or again, remotely over a network. So you can't decide, okay, I'm going to try and cut costs and I'm not going to buy Office 2016 because these devices are going to connect remotely over a network and therefore I don't need a license. This is not correct. You need a license for each device that is using the software, whether it's on the local network or remotely over the network. There must be a license for it. The server operating system. All server machines must have a server operating system installed on them. Now you can get this OEM, but you can also purchase it through the volume license agreement. And the latest version of Microsoft Server Operating System is now Windows Server 2016. And there are 3 editions of the Windows Server. There's a Data Center, there's a Standard, and Essentials. And these are licensed now through the per core and CAL licensing model. The Essentials edition is still licensed per server. So just to get in a little bit about the per core and CAL licensing, the purchase of core licenses is needed for each physical core in the server with a minimum, there's a minimum of 8 core licenses per processor. So if your server has two processors with, let's just say they have 4 cores each, you still need to purchase a minimum of 8 core licenses. This is how Microsoft has structured the license for the servers now. Previously, it was done through a processor model where you would license based on the number of processors within the server. Now, Microsoft has moved to a core model, which takes into consideration the number of cores that are on that server. There's also a minimum of 16 core licenses per server. What does that mean? That means if you have one processor on the server, then you have to purchase 16 core licenses, regardless of the number of cores on that processor. So for instance, if you have one processor with 10 cores, you still need to purchase a minimum of 16 cores for that server, core licenses for that server. Let's take it a little further. Let's just say you have 4 processors with 4 cores each. Then you need to purchase a minimum of 8 cores per processor. So you need now to purchase 32 core licenses. And this is the new way of licensing servers with Windows Servers 2016. Along with purchasing the server license, you also need to purchase CAL licenses. So what is a CAL? A CAL is a client access license for either devices or for users. And the CAL access license allows the client to access the services of the server. So for a device CAL, it is assigned to the device. So you put a CAL license to the device, and what that does is that it allows multiple users to use that actual device. So in a scenario where you have more users than devices, let's just say, and your users are accessing one device, you can use the device CAL, where it will ensure that you just license that device and you have multiple users being able to access that device. But your device CAL must be on that device. The other CAL is the user CAL, which is more popular. A user CAL is assigned to the user and allows that user to use multiple devices. So if you have your Windows Server operating system, you have your license installed, and you have, let's say, you have 10 servers across your server farm, the users, once they have a user CAL, can access any of those servers. So it's not a matter of having a server and that user must have a CAL for each server. No. Once that user has a CAL, they can access any number of devices. Once those devices, of course, are licensed with the server license. Okay, so that is in a nutshell, just a basic overview of the new licensing for Windows Server. Now, how are we going to license virtual machines? Many organizations or professionals, IT professionals, think that virtualized server solutions ease management and reduce hardware costs. It does reduce hardware cost. However, it doesn't necessarily reduce your licensing cost. So you have to take into consideration your whole virtualized environment to see which is the best way of licensing for your virtual machines. Now, Windows Server 2016 Standard and Data Center include Hyper-V to allow for your server virtualization. And as I said, be aware that virtualization or virtualizing is not a way of reducing license purchased. And different versions of the license and different editions of the products may have different virtualization rights, which I'm going to explain now. So with Windows Server 2016 Data Center, the server must be fully licensed with core licenses, as I described before. And once that server is licensed with the data center version, then you have unlimited availability of running virtual machines. You can run an unlimited number of virtual machines on that data center server. But keep in mind that that server must be fully licensed with core licenses. So you cannot license, and in this scenario here, we have 4 processors with 32 cores each. So how are we going to, you cannot license 2 of the processors with data center and then expect to have an unlimited number of virtual machines. No, you must license all the processors, all the cores, and then you are able to have an unlimited number of virtual machines. The standard version, however, the standard edition, however, again, the server must be fully licensed with the standard license, with the standard edition, and you are allowed 2 virtual machines to be run on that server, only 2. So really, you need to look at your virtualization environment. You need to look at what you need to do, or what servers need to go virtual. And then you decide, okay, which is the best option? Should we do data center because we're going to have maybe 16 virtual machines, or do we go with standard? Now, if you choose to go with standard, you have to realize that once you want to add additional virtual machines to that server, what you need to now license again with standard to attach 2 more virtual servers. So, for instance, in this scenario, we have 2 processors with 16 cores. So you have purchased your licenses with your 16 cores, and you're now available to put 2 virtual machines on the server. Something has arisen and you need to add 2 more virtual machines. Now what needs to happen is that you need to purchase an additional 16 core licenses to add those 2 additional standard virtual machines. So it is necessary to keep in mind how you're going to run your virtualization and which edition is best suited for your virtualized environment. Server applications are either licensed on a server car licensing model or core licensing. And this list here just basically breaks down for you how it can be licensed. Exchange, SharePoint, Skype for Business are all on a server car licensing model. SQL Server is the only the only software that allows you to either license on a server car licensing model or a core licensing model. And System Center, the server management licenses, are on a core licensing model, similar to that of the Windows Server licensing that I just explained. Licensing for online services now. Online services, as we know, or now that we have gone through the perpetual versus the non-perpetual, are non-perpetual licenses. These are subscription licenses. So if you are a business with less than 250 PCs or users, you can acquire online services licenses through the CSP program, through open and the open value agreements, because you're less than 250. Businesses with more than 250 PCs, you can acquire your online services licenses through the Microsoft Products and Services Agreement, or MPSA, as I was saying previously, or with more than 500 PCs or users, you can do that through your Enterprise Agreement or Enterprise Subscription Agreement. Rather than services being installed on your own servers, known as on-premises, which is what I was just explaining, Microsoft Online Services are installed on Microsoft servers, which users access across the internet. So this is what the online services is about. This makes Microsoft the service provider, which hosts and manages the software on your behalf. So you benefit now from all your services being backed by a 99.9% scheduled uptime SLA or service level agreement, and a premium disaster recovery service that allows a fast switchover to the geographical data center in case of a primary data center failure. So Microsoft has worked to have your information secure. They have worked to have it so that you don't have to manage an on-premise environment. Everything is now in the cloud, as you can see, in the cloud or online, and it's able for you to focus on other things instead of having to manage the on-premise solutions within your organization. Now, for example, of an online service, which is well known, is Office 365. So with Office 365, it brings together all the cloud versions of what we know, the on-premise software that we know. For example, Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, SharePoint. It also includes Skype for Business, OneDrive, OneNote. So all of these products are included in the Office 365 suite. And what the nice thing about these online services is that you always have the latest version. There's no, you have a older version or you need to upgrade to a newer version. All of this is done automatically when you have the online services within your organization. Also, to explain about online services is that each user is assigned a user subscription license. So this really takes into consideration who needs to use these services. So these licenses the users to access the relevant online services from any device. Why? Because it's a user-based license. It licenses the user. So the user can now go to any computer, any device, and access the services of the Office 365 or any of the online services. You can, in this scenario, or on online services, reassign the user subscription licenses, but within a specified period of 90 days. This is Microsoft's rule that you can only reassign a license, online services or user subscription license after 90 days. Okay, so for instance, you have employees, you have 5 employees, 2 of your employees have left, you have now brought in 2 new employees, you can actually now reassign those licenses to those new employees or new users. So that is also one of the benefits of the online services. It's easy for you to now move those or reassign those licenses to someone else within your organization. And these are the Office 365 plans. Now, there are plans for business users and there are plans for enterprise users. What's the difference? Business users, there's a maximum number that you can purchase, which is 300 for 300 users. The enterprise, which is the E1, the E3, the E5, it's unlimited. Now, the E1, the E3, the E5 has more functionalities than the business portions, but it all depends on what is needed. If you have 300 or less employees, then the business plans are best suited for you, which are the business essentials, business, and business premium. Above that, you can go to the E1, the E3, and E5. If you wish to only have the Office Suite or Office Pro Plus, that's all you need. You don't need Exchange Online, you don't need SharePoint, you don't need Skype for Business. Then there's Office 365 Pro Plus, which gives you all the Office functionalities through the online service. So now, just to go through the best, what is necessary for you to think about when you're trying to get into a Microsoft licensing program. First of all, you need to determine the software needs of your organization. What applications do you need? What are your server needs? What are your system needs? Okay, consider also the size of your organization. Do you have less than 50 employees? Do you have over 250 employees? Determine what is the size. Well, you know the size of your organization, but this must be taken into consideration when you are choosing either the licensing program or the licenses for your organization. Also, the industry in which your organization is can also determine which program is best suited for you. You can be in retail or manufacturing or banking or financial institution, and you would need to determine, how can the licensing program or which licensing program best suits my needs based on the industry that I'm in. Also, do you want to have a transactional agreement or do you want to have a committed agreement? Okay, do you want to be able to just buy as you wish and not be committed to having a 3-year agreement? You need to determine which is best suited for your organization. whether you want perpetual licenses or non-perpetual licenses, whether you don't want to own it. You don't want to own the on-premise licenses. You just want to use it for a specific period of time, and after that, you don't need it anymore. You need to determine that. You also need to determine whether you want on-premise product software or you want to do with the online services or cloud services. Now, if you have a toss-up between whether you really need the on-premise or the online services, you can do a hybrid. You can do on-premise and cloud and see which best suits you and which best works for you. So once you've decided, or once you have gone through those determinants, then you'll be able to decide which program best suits you, whether it's open value, MPSA, open enterprise agreement, etc. And after that, you give a call or email to your Microsoft partner and have a chat, and we will advise you. Once you've determined, what is best suited for you, we will have more conversation with you and show you what is the best fit for your organization. Are there any questions?
Good morning.
Yeah, I have Office 365 installed on all the workstations in my organization. This is Melvin here from Belize. One of the slides, I think the last two slides you had up, which has to do with Office 365, can you kindly put that up? I know I'm looking at the 5 workstations. My users we have about 41 users, but I'm looking at 45 licenses for the Office 365. I work closely with Dupar, but the last slide, or the last two slides that had to do with the Office 365 licenses, where you had E3s, I would like to review that. Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, actually, the question should be directed to Narda. She's the one giving the presentation. Thus, I'll give the word back over to Narda.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I just wanted to review the slides. That's all I want.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I should note that the E3 and the E5, they were not available through Open and Open Value. Not sure when that has changed or if it has changed recently, but for now it's not available. But it can be purchased through MPSA.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Are there any more questions, anyone? If not, Shuma, then I will hand over to you to close. Thank you, everyone, for joining and being attentive to this webinar. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Before closing, we will pass over to the technical deep dive slide. We have a technical deep dive every beginning of the month. I placed the link in the chat if you would like to register. The technical deep dive will be more in depth about the topic that was just spoken about. But it is important to note that the technical deep dive only takes place in our offices in Aruba, Ecuador, Jamaica, or Trinidad. If you would like to register, you can use the QR code here on the screen, or you can use the link I placed in the chat. In addition to that, we also have a survey that in which you can participate in a Inova raffle we do for each webinar. And the prize for this month is Amazon gift card. So if you would like to participate in this raffle, sorry, I see, is the technical deep dive only open to current attendees? No, others can also attend the technical deep dive, but it will be based on this topic, so licensing for this month. I see Fernando type, okay. All right, and for the Inova raffle, I placed the link as well in the chat. If you guys would like to participate, you guys can do so by filling in the survey, and the winner will be announced later today in the email, the thank you email that you will be receiving from me shortly. If you guys have any more questions, let us know.
Thank you very much.
I see someone typing. Sandra, has the date been set for the technical deep dive Jamaica? Yes, all of them will be held on March 6th, which is the Tuesday, the first Tuesdays of the month. We usually have our deep dive. All right, so be sure to register. And if you guys would like to follow us on social media, you guys can also find the webinars back on our YouTube page. On our Facebook, you can see interesting events maybe in your area, other webinars, other activities that we will be doing. So try to follow us on our social media. Sandra, I missed a part of the webinar. Is this available on demand? Yes, I will be sending it to you, Sandra, this afternoon or by the latest tomorrow morning. So you will get a full recording of this webinar.
Okay.
Are there any more questions? No? All right. So I would like to thank you guys for joining us today. I hope you guys will be with us for our following webinar. At the moment, our webinar series is now over. So we'll take a short break and then we'll reintroduce this, I think, later on in the year or maybe the next quarter. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact us and we will be happy to assist. If not, our technicians will see you guys at the deep dive sessions if you would like to attend, or at any one of our events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.